Welcome to Manana Wellness. Today we are going to learn about the 8 limbs of yoga. The most important yoga path teaching you will ever experience is right here. I invite you to unfold with me as we look at these 8 dimensions of what makes yoga. Ashtanga, meaning 8 limbs. You may be familiar with yoga poses, meditation, mantras, mudras, pranayama, and other styles of practice. But these are just tools to help you achieve the purpose of yoga. They are not yoga. Yoga was and still is intended to be an entire lifestyle and a way of living. The word yoga means to yoke or to connect, a union of things. Therefore, we look to connect to the true self, to reach the state of uniting the body, mind, and soul and live in harmony. The thing we are disentangling from is whatever stops us from feeling free, as the ultimate goal of any yoga practice is to attain liberation or freedom. Our desires, needs, expectations, and unrealistic goals all cause us to suffer. And the way we can reduce suffering is accepting reality, that life is unfolding according to science. We are not the creator of this planet. We can pick and choose our likes and dislikes against the reality, but this is only going to cause more stress, anxiety, and many disturbances in your life, because we cannot expect the world to match our expectations or to get what we want and have things be the way we want. So, just experience life as it unfolds each day with an awe and a fascinated expression. And this will happen when you become more comfortable with the reality as it is. Participate. Participate in bringing beauty to the world. True yoga teaches us to bring union of harmony and reality. Yogis throughout time have pondered the question as to how we can transcend human suffering. So we are looking to connect with the true self, also known as the divine or Purusha in Sanskrit. Our pure being. You might also think of this as the soul, connecting or uniting with your soul or your spirit. And this has nothing to do with religion. Just remember that. Yoga is not a religion. So how can we go about attaining this freedom through yoga of less suffering? In my opinion, is by studying and practicing Ashtanga, 8 limbs of yoga. As this 8-fold path leads to liberation, we can then grow to practice these guidelines for a meaningful and purposeful life. Before we dive into this prescription of moral and ethical conduct and self-discipline, let me share this with you. That I don't know anything. And I know you probably think, what am I talking about? But I really don't know anything. I learn from you all and share what I think I know, and we share what we think we know with the rest of the world in purpose of helping one person who may be seeking the spiritual path. But we can never say we know something. Maybe on the surface we know something, but when you start breaking it down, dissecting it, then it gets complicated. As a young girl, I knew something was off or on about me, and people will call me weird. But for me, I didn't think I was weird. Somehow I was comfortable, and I was loving each part of me and the experiences that surrounded my life without asking why. Whether it was a bad experience or an amazing experience. And I remember I used to use this motto or short phrase, why not? I had no idea at the time that it was part of this journey I'm in now. Just as each limb of your body is complementary to all other limbs, serving the body as a whole, each limb of Ashtanga yoga can be practiced holistically to serve the ultimate purpose of the practice of yoga, the experience of unity in which the individual soul and cosmic soul merge. So the third limb, being the asana, become the vehicle for entering into the deeper states of meditation. Our 8 limbs of yoga are Yama, which is our ethical living, Niyama, which is our healthy living, Asana or postures, which is the meditative sitting posture, or our more physical yoga postures. Pranayama, awareness of breath. Pratyahara, withdrawals one's mind from the senses. Dharana, deep concentration. Dhyana, deep meditation. And Samadhi, enlightenment. Out of the 8 limbs, the final 3 limbs are collectively referred to as Ashtanga, or inner limbs, and are often practiced as one practice known as Samama or Samyama, constraint. And that would be Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. These 3 processes are more internal than the other limbs of yoga, and as such are considered to be more associated with the mind, while other limbs work to purify the body, prana, and the senses. Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi purify the mind. So the other ones, they purify the senses, and the inner ones, they purify the mind. Ashtanga, 8 limbs of yoga, written thousands of years ago. The Yoga Sutra of Patanjali explores the 8-fold path, or Ashtanga, which translates to Ashta, meaning 8, Anga, meaning limbs. This is the foundation of yoga philosophy, and it includes 8 different practices or dimensions that guide us towards balance, peace, and good health. The necessary self-discipline that allows us to head toward the fulfillment of our Dharma or life purpose. The best way, perhaps the only true way, to teach the Yama is to live them. We become models for our students. So looking at these 8 limbs, we have the first limb called Yama, or we can say Dhyana, which is our social ethics or our ethical living. The Yama, followed by the Yamas, as I refer them, are the first limb of the 8 limbs of yoga, and the second originating from the ancient Indian philosophical text, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Each limb describes a different aspect of a yoga practice, all leading towards freedom and enlightenment. The Yama or the Yamas are primarily concerned with the world around us and our interaction with it. By considering these aspects in our daily practice on and off the yoga mat, all of our decisions and actions come from a more considered, aware, and a higher place, and this enables us to become more authentic towards ourselves and others. So the first limb, Yama, wants you to take a look at the way you shine your light out into the world. Are you nice and compassionate to other living beings? Are you committed to truthfulness? Are you not stealing stuff? Are you using your energy wisely? What about resisting the desire to be a clingy hoarder? What about resisting the desire to possess more? So under this Yama or the Yamas, we have 5 Yamas. So the 5 Yamas are, the first one is Ahimsa, which is non-violence. And so it's compassion. Ahimsa can be interpreted as not physically harming others, ourselves, or nature. Not thinking negative thoughts about others or ourselves. And making sure that what we do and how we do it is done in harmony rather than causing harm. Our behavior, behaving in kindness, friendliness, and thoughtful consideration of all beings as well as yourself. The second one is Satya, non-deception, truthfulness. Satya is truthfulness, but it's more than just telling the truth. The word Sat literally translates as true essence or unchangeable. Our thoughts, emotions, and moods are interchangeable. Yet, these are the things that create our own truth. In yoga, we work on creating a little space so that we can realize that we are not just our thoughts. So consider what you say, how you say it, and in what way it could affect others. Practice conscious communication and actions. And the third Yama is Asteya, non-stealing. Teaches us about being honest. So Asteya means non-stealing, but like the other Yamas and Niyamas, it means so much more than that. It arises from the vritti, or thoughts or fluctuations of the mind, where we tell ourselves, I'm not good enough, or I don't have enough. It arises from the lack of faith in ourselves. So by practicing each aspect of yoga on and off the mat, we can move further towards feeling as though we already have enough. And we are already enough within ourselves. And we shouldn't take advantage of anyone or any situation for our personal gain. And the fourth one is brahmacharya. How we use our energy. Moderation of the senses. Brahmacharya is often translated as celibacy, and is often considered irrelevant in our modern culture. But the word brahmacharya actually translates as behavior which leads to Brahman. Brahman is thought of as the creator in Hinduism and yogic terms. So this is looked up as right use of energy. It refers to directing our energy away from external desires and instead towards finding peace and happiness within ourselves. Honoring our sexuality and that of others. And doing whatever in moderation. And the last Yama out of these 8 limbs is aparigraha. Aparigraha, non-greed, which gives us security. Aparigraha is non-greed, non-possessiveness, or non-attachment. This important Yama teaches us to take only what we need, keep only what serves us in the moment, and to let go when the time is right. Not having too much of anything, too much clothes, many cars, all these material things. that we mistake as our identity, as somehow it defines who we are. So moving to the second limb, Niyama, the personal practices or the healthy way of living. This is the attitude you take toward your own self-care and growth. Are you keeping your body and mind pure? Are you finding contentment in all that you already have? Are you disciplined with the use of your energy? Too much? Too little? Or just in moderation? Are you working towards self-awareness? The Niyamas is the second limb in the 8 limbs of yoga from Patanjali's Yoga Sutras and refers to duties directed towards ourselves, our inner observances. They are intended to help us build character. So the first Niyama out of the 5 Niyamas is Socha, cleanliness or purity. Socha can be translated as cleanliness, but it doesn't just mean physical cleanliness. For example, cultivating Socha gives us the ability to recognize the habits we have picked up in our life that no longer serve us. If we take our bad habits onto the mat with us, then our practice becomes a lot harder. We have to work through the impurities or negativity we've picked up before reaping the benefits of yoga. So that when you go and step on the mat, you have a clear conscious. The second Niyama is Santosha, which is contentment. And this gets us on to the fluctuation of the mind. That we all experience. Thinking too much about I'll be happy when and if. We can ease this fritty mind chatter by cultivating Santosha. Santosha encourages us to accept and appreciate what we have and what we are right now. And from there, we can move forward in our life and practice with more ease. And embracing all experiences as opportunities to learn and grow. And the third Niyama is Tapas, which refers to discipline or burning enthusiasm. This Niyama helps us cultivate a sense of self-discipline, passion and courage. Tapas has many meanings, and how it's expressed in you can be different to someone else's experience. But essentially, it is our inner wisdom that we sometimes ignore, and is the fiery passion that feeds our sense of purpose. And the fourth Niyama, Svadhyaya, which literally means one's own reading or self-study. Practicing self-reflection, observation, and study of the self makes us more aware of the things we do that harm us, plus the things that serve us, bringing us in closer contact with our true self. Svadhyaya also encourages us to further educate ourselves in whatever inspires and fascinates us, deepening our own knowledge. And the fifth Niyama is Vara Pranidhana, surrendering to a higher power. Simply letting go of our expectations. Letting go of the story and of our expectations. Cultivating Isvara Pranidhana in our life will ease the mind chatter that cause worry and stressful thoughts, and offer us a chance to feel empowered in daily life. So there you go with the Yamas: Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha. And the Niyamas: Socha, Santosha, Tapas, Svadhyaya, Isvara Pranidhana. Those are the first two of our 8 limbs of yoga. Going to the next, third limb, Asana, typically known as the physical practice involving the body. So when people say we are going to do yoga, what they really mean is they are going to do asanas, postures. Patanjali defines asana as a steady, comfortable posture. And accepting the limitations that are present in your body. Asana, also referred as Sthira Sukham Asanam, meaning that every asana or yoga posture should be steady and comfortable. Asana is the third limb in the 8 limbs of yoga from Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, and it literally means seat. Specifically the seat that you take for meditation. Sthira means steady or stable or grounded, and Sukha means comfortable or easy or peaceful. Whenever you practice yoga, you are trying to find that balance between these two aspects. Asana is perhaps the most known limb of the Eightfold Path Yoga, and it often gets interpreted as yoga itself. Often we say we are going to do yoga when we mean asana. Asana practice reinforces the connection between the mind and the body, and we can use the body as a tool for getting into the present moment. Because the body is always in the present moment regardless of where the mind is. So turning into the body gives us a chance to tune into the moment, to quiet the mind, to use the breath and remind us of the alignment between the body and mind. So essentially what happens on your yoga mat is for you. It is your practice. It is your body and it is your journey. Therefore, the most important alignment is not about your physical body, but how you experience yourself in the poses and what the poses do for your inner alignment. Again, coming back to that union that we are seeking. And the fourth limb is Pranayama, defined by Patanjali as regulation and control of the inhalation and exhalation of the breath, creating luminosity and preparing the mind for one pointed focus. Drishti. Pranayama is the fourth limb in the 8 limbs of yoga from Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. Is often neatly divided into 2 words. Prana meaning life force or energy source, and Yama meaning control or restraint. So Pranayama can be translated as breath control. Whatever the interpretation is, there's no doubt that a regular and sustained practice of pranayama not only supercharges our entire body but prepares our mind for deep meditation. The most effective way to influence this movement of prana to bring about the ultimate quietness in our physical and mental bodies is through breath. It is the gateway to relaxation and deeper in meditation. We breathe in a different way when we are angry, excited, tired, or nervous. However, using appropriate pranayama techniques, we can actually alter our physical and emotional state. For example, using calming, balancing practices like Nadi Shodhana, which is our alternate nostril breathing, or more stimulating, energizing techniques such as Kapalbhati, which helps detox and cleanse the breath. You may refer to my previous videos specifically on these techniques of breath, Pranayama. A regular pranayama practice can stimulate the parasympathetic system, countering the overstimulation our bodies go through during the fight or flight response. And moving along to our fifth limb, Pratyahara. Pratyahara is the fifth limb in the 8 limbs of yoga from Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. Pratya means to withdraw or draw back, and ahara refers to anything we take in, such as the various sights, sounds, smells, senses. And these distractions are not just limited to the outside world. Sometimes the noise of our own internal chatter can be just as deafening. So Pratyahara is withdrawal of the senses, which results in a calm, non-stimulated mind. Pratyahara is not about shutting out the world, but refocusing your attention inward so that you are less fragmented and more clear. When you are internalizing your senses, it helps to deepen your connection with your body. It focuses your mind and immerse yourself in this internal experience. According to Patanjali, at a certain point, these distractions, also called frittis, mind chatter, start to become a hindrance to our practice and to attain a level of deep meditation. We need to learn to ignore all of the external stimuli and internal chatter. And this, of course, can be quite challenging because we are so used to pushing our energy or prana outwards that can be difficult when we sit in meditation to allow ourselves to go in. And the next limb is Dharana, the untamed mind. Dharana is the 6th limb in the 8 limbs of yoga from Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. It means focused concentration. Da means holding or maintaining, and Ana means other or something else. Each limb of the 8 limbs of yoga prepares us for the next. Whereas Pratyahara teaches us to withdraw our focus from the external to the internal. It teaches us to zoom in so we are able to focus on one thing and one thing alone. Focusing the mind on one element or single area, concentration. Finding your drishti or focal point. Or having an attention to the sensations in one area of the body. The object of focus isn't the point, it's just a tool for going deeper. This, of course, is not an easy thing to do. It takes some discipline and patience to learn how to focus our attention on a single thing. One pointed concentration. It is impossible to empty the mind, but we can train it to become so completely and utterly absorbed with one thing that we lose all sense of time and space, and most significantly, self. The big self. You may recall this experience of losing track of time because you've been immersed in something that has held your undivided attention. Perhaps watching a beautiful sunset, wind blowing the branches of a tree, or just gazing up the sky and staring at the million stars, wondering, how did this get to be like this? It all comes with practice and discipline. And our seventh limb, Dhyana. Dhyana is the seventh limb in the 8 limbs of yoga from Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. While Dharana teaches us a one-pointed focus, encouraging us to concentrate all of our attention onto the breath or a sound or a visualization, Dhyana brings about keen awareness without the focus. An unbroken flow of perception between mind and object in the form of one. Mind becomes increasingly involved in bodily sensations as you think into stillness. You are left with deepening feeling of peace. Dhyana is about letting go of the focus and becoming completely immersed in the present. So while Dharana requires us to concentrate on one object, it also teaches us to observe something without judgment or attachment. And our final limb, Samadhi, perfectly present. Samadhi is the 8th limb in the 8 limbs of yoga from Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. Breaking the word in half, Sama means same or equal, and Di means to see, meaning liberation or realization. Almost as if to reach the state of true freedom, we have to transcend ourselves and our lives. Reaching Samadhi is not about escaping or floating away or being joyful. It's about realizing the very life that is within us right at this very moment. Letting go of the story and the seeker. As humans, we can often feel as if we are separate, or that somehow our lives are incomplete and lacking something. If only I could afford that new car, or get that great job, or reach that ideal weight, somehow our lives will be complete. Whether what we are seeking is material or spiritual, a helpful question to ask is, who is doing the seeking? Often if someone asks who we are, Our answers are tied up in the story of what we have done, what we would like to do, or our job, or our roles. And usually within these stories is a sense of something we would like to change, achieve, improve, or get rid of. Samadhi encourages us to let go of these stories, this seeking of this or that, and see equally without disturbance from the mind, without our experience being conditioned by the likes or dislikes or habits, without a need to judge or become attached to any particular aspect. Instead of attaching to happiness or a sensation of bliss, Samadhi is about seeing life and reality for exactly what it is, without our thoughts, emotions, likes, dislikes, pleasure, and pain fluctuating and governing it. Not necessarily a state of feeling or being or a fixed way of thinking, just pure oneness. The message of Samadhi is that completeness is not to be found in the past or the future or the stories we build around our lives. It's to be found in the present moment. The union, the knower, knowing, and that which is known become one pure essence or awareness. The aim of all yogic practices, finding your bliss. And this gets us to the 8 limbs of yoga. 1. The Yamas with the 5 social ethics. So remember kindness, truthfulness, non-stealing, moderation, generosity. The second limb, Niyamas, with its 5 personal practices of purity, contentment, austerity, self-study, and surrender. And our third limb, Asana, or postures. Easy, comfortable positions of the body, connecting the mind and spirit to experience stillness and its infinity. And the fourth limb, Pranayama, mindful breathing, honoring the breath to uncover the light within. And the fifth limb, Pratyahara, looking inward. Inner point of attraction. And the sixth limb, Dharana, concentration. The seventh limb, Dhyana, dropping all the efforts and letting go. And the eighth final limb of just pure bliss, constant complete harmony on the self with the universe. Okay, my wonderful universal siblings, That was the 8 limbs of yoga, the art of right living that helps us to acknowledge the spiritual aspects of our nature. Learn more about living yoga and being constant with the flow of life as it is. When you deeply are seeking or searching for truth and light beyond death, and not just any truth, but the eternal truth that is not limited by body, mind, and intellect. When you ask, what is my calling or purpose or this body, you know you are on the path of spirituality. Thank you for listening. Namaste.